Hello, my friends, Dorothy here. We're going to talk about where we are right now before this new moon. The new moon, which is not until the 28th. I'm going to put this out the day before. So let's talk about that because we are in the lunar phase, which is called the balsamic lunar phase. Some people call it the waning crescent. It is just the very, very end of this monthly lunar cycle. And with all of the new moon forecasts out there and everybody talking about what's to come, um, I just want to talk about what is. Okay, so this is just timely. It's about right now. So it's about July 27 and it's about July 28 up until the new moon. That forecast is already out. I have to put it out like everybody else does early, or you know, I barely get into the algorithms as it is. So, but because I kind of follow the beat of my own drum most of the time. But the new moon isn't until 1:55 p.m. on the 28th, and that's Eastern Daylight Time. So let me share my screen with you, and I want to just talk about what's happening right now. So hopefully you're seeing this on the 27th and before the new moon. And even if you're not, that's okay too. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Not just look at the chart. I want you to see what I'm seeing. I want you to look at what I'm looking at. I don't talk about the houses or the ascendant and midheaven in this type of forecast for those of you who don't know me, because we are all somewhere. I do talk about it in Eastern Daylight Time, so you will have to adjust for your own time zone if there are some times here that are important to you. All right. So why am I here today? I'm here because I want to talk about this lunar phase, this balsamic lunar phase. This is a phase of releasing and letting go. It's when the moon is 45 degrees behind the sun, and that's what this looks like right here. It started a day ago, so we've been working with this already since the 26th, and now it's the 27th. And again, halfway into the 28th of July. Balsamic lunar phase was part of Gemini, which was communicating. It's now in Cancer. So we're releasing emotion and we're letting that go, right? It's this lunar phase before the new moon is about creating space. My last video talks about that too. So go ahead and check that out if you want. So it's creating space, and it's just about distilling what's going on. You can make plans. You can, make your lists if you like. You can do all of that, but just, kind of just harmonize with it and just sit still and process and breathe over the next couple of days, because that's what this lunar phase is about. It's just about finishing up lots of loose ends. Now, I know a few people, people have to do what they have to do, of course. So if I'm saying wait until after the new moon on the 28th to do something, and you absolutely have to do it today, then you have to do it today. And this is the energy that you get to work with. So, it's not the end of the world if you can't use this balsamic lunar phase in the way it's meant, because the energy is going to process no matter what. It's going to create more time. It's going to create, if you use it properly, it's going to create more time because you're giving yourself that break. You're giving yourself that respite. You're releasing things that aren't necessarily need to be moved forward into the next lunar phase. All right. That is very, very simple. The specifics will depend on your own chart, your own current life circumstances, and where this balsamic lunar phase is happening for you. All right. Now, a couple of the aspects that we do have happening over the next day and a half as we're moving to the new moon, and even on the day of the new moon. So I am going to give this forecast for the 27th and part of the 28th. And again, that new moon forecast will be linked at the very end. I'll have it, I think it comes up over here, but I don't know. If you could just wait to the end, thank you. All right, what we have right now is Mercury. Okay, so Mercury is quite active, and it is making, here today, it is on the 27th, it's making a trine aspect to Chiron. The exact aspect of that, which really, the exact aspect is irrelevant right now because, we've been feeling it for a few days, but the exact aspect is just at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Mercury trine Chiron. So there's just some healing, communication, healing component happening with this, all right, because it can be a few things. Mercury in Leo is very gregarious and very dynamic and passionate with what they have to say and how they're communicating. That's Mercury in the sign of Leo. Over to Chiron and Aries, it's a trine aspect, so it should not be a difficult thing. But sometimes people are just so direct that it hurts feelings. So, and so be aware of your words, because words are healing and hurtful at the same, can be healing and hurtful at the same time. So be careful with your words today. Just think, process, and sometimes we could just be very dynamic, just like that, because that is what happens when we get to these situations. So what we have next here, let me look at the last image. That's the one we were just talking about. So what we actually have going on today, so that was, yeah, I'm not confusing myself. The Mercury trine Chiron, be very cautious of how you're communicating, who you're communicating with, and how it can be either healing. If it can't feel like a healing moment, then it's best not to engage. I'm just looking at the ephemeris, which is why I didn't create charts for all of these things. The moon today is also making a trine aspect to Neptune. So that's a water trine, meaning Cancer. Moon in Cancer is a water sign. Neptune, Pisces is a water sign. So there's a nice, beautiful connection between those guys. And that creates a little softness that is super important. And then when we get to about 9 p.m., that's when the moon will be in opposition to Pluto. So here, I'll animate that. So yeah, when we get to 9 p.m., nope, not that one. The moon will be opposite Pluto. Here, we'll just do it like this. And we'll just go 12 hours from now. Here we are. See, that's the Earth spinning. There we are. Here's where the moon is opposite Pluto. So this is very dynamic, very powerful, very intense. So this evening, we are still in the balsamic lunar phase, and the moon is opposite Pluto once a month. But right now, since it is in that lunar phase of absolute surrender, release, and letting go, very important to pay attention to that. So maybe this evening, it's best if we actually through the whole day, it's just best if we do our best to do our own thing, keep to ourselves. If you have some healing, if you have an opportunity for healing conversations with a person, that's wonderful too. All right, good. Now, here we are just after the new moon, because the new moon is right here, and it is on the 28th. It's at 1:55 in the afternoon Eastern Daylight Time. Here it is in Leo. Go watch that video. But just after that, so we have at 4:38 p.m. Eastern, we also have Mercury. There's Mercury. It's opposite Saturn. It squares the lunar nodes. It squares Uranus. Mercury square Uranus. This is powerful stuff. So here, I'll draw it out so you can see it clearly. It's called it's not a T-square. It's called a grand cross. There's that in fixed. Mercury in Leo in a fixed sign makes a square aspect to the lunar node and to Uranus, makes a square aspect to the south node in Scorpio, which is processing and healing and releasing. And then it is opposite Saturn. So that right there is the shape. And I'm going to eraser it so you can just see it in the chart itself. That right there is called a grand cross. It's a fixed grand cross because the 4 zodiac signs that are fixed, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, are all engaged within the mathematics of the aspects that we are using here today, the square and the opposition. What does this represent? So this is just after the new moon. You can see that the moon is only 1.5 degrees away from the sun, so it's just a couple hours later. We are to be aware of, again, more of what we say. It's still in a trine aspect with Chiron, but we still need to pay attention to what we're saying, because Mercury in Leo, again, can just shout it all out, which is great if you're up on a stage and you're acting and the people in the back row need to hear you. But if you're being super honest, it could be very uncomfortable in what is the conversation. All right. So I just want us to be aware, just be aware. And while we are in the new moon phase here, it's still an opportunity to plant some seeds on a whole different story right now, to plant some seeds for some new and innovative ideas. So if you can still give yourself some space, even though we're in a new moon, it's not like we've just, let the gate down and we start our race, right? We still are in the dark of the moon. That takes about 24 hours or so before we can start to see the moon again. And so that is an opportunity for us to take our time to decide what it is we want to plant, what is it that we want to manifest. And so when we have this Mercury square North Node and Uranus and South Node, this an opposite Saturn, this is an opportunity for some brilliant idea to come through. So write stuff out, give yourself space. It's so hard to do. I know our lives are so busy. Give yourself the space that you need for new, innovative, and creative ideas. All right. There's more. I'm not done yet. I know it sounded like I was, but I'm not. So that's what I want us to work on. I want us to on the 27th and halfway into the 28th, spend some time releasing, letting go, looking at where you can create space. And I mean, I'm physically going to do it. I'm in my office here, and I think the corner piece right there is going to go into the living room. I've only been here a couple months, so I'm still figuring out where stuff goes. I want to put a desk up. I want to put a chair up by these windows that are over there, so I can have a place that's east, so I can have coffee in the morning at my desk. And then I can make puzzles because I can put a table out. Anyways, I'm just working through. It's like, what's my stuff? What do I need? And you could physically be doing that. I know people who are moving right now, and they're physically going through their possessions and deciding what to keep, what not to keep. And it's just everybody's going through their own processes these days. And with that South Node in Scorpio, especially, of course, because what is that about? That's about releasing. And Scorpio can be releasing fear, releasing grief, and all of these things, the loss of what we're doing, the loss of, we all have had a lot of loss recently. Okay. Hey, you want to do some astro dice? I just rolled them. I'm going to roll them again. It's a question. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're a whole lot of fun. You can really work with your sentencing, astrology sentencing. I love when my students use these. So I rolled Mercury in Libra in the second house. So if you have a question, I'm going to tell you what that means. So it might give you some insight and an answer. And it's just additional content that I ask Spirit for. And we're going to pull a card too. All right, Mars, Libra, second house. So that's about taking action in regard to what you value, second house, and your partner values, Libra. Finding a balance as well in your finances. That's the second house. How I use my skills and talents to earn a living, to earn money, right? So if we do what we love, we could say it's really work, but let me tell you, I'm doing what I love, and it's a lot of work still. And it also represents taking action. Maybe you need a partner to take some action with. That's the Libra stuff. Or I want you to also consider finding balance. If you're working too hard, finding the balance between work and play, doing what you love and finding a hobby. So those kind of things too. And I just mentioned that because a hobby for me is doing puzzles. I haven't done them in a couple of years because the last place I was at just was not feasible for any of that. And I was only there a year. So good for me. All right. Oh yeah, I'm shuffling for this now. Flowing River is on the bottom. So I love that one. I was shuffling and then I just put it back down. So Flowing River is absolutely fantastic. It's just let these things flow. So even if the things that, even if when I said today and tomorrow before the new moon, it's important that we fine-tune things, we remove things that aren't necessary in our lives anymore, create space for what's new after the new moon. And even if you just launched a new website or you just relaunched something, then that's fine too, because that card is telling us just to go with the flow, right? And I mean, if you have the choice, it's best not to start absolute new things right now. Just a couple more days. However, you're going to do what you want. Yeah, I'm just going to Spirit of Water is very much like that flow card too. So we're going to stop right there. Thank you, everybody. Please, yeah, if you would share into your social groups, that would be fantastic. Namaste, everybody.